First of all, thanks for your time. Welcome to Microsoft Teams. Some of you may have used this before at work with colleagues or in different settings. But if you haven't, just a little bit of basics. So we've got the microphone symbol that you should have along your own little toolbar there. This mutes you and unmutes you. We ask that we just keep these muted, so with a line through it throughout the presentation. Otherwise, it can get quite messy with people and background noise. So the indicating the little speech bubble. If you could click on this one, this will bring up the chat function at the side of the page, the right-hand side. If you've got any questions, we'd prefer if you please put these into this chat box, which my colleague Luke's going to be monitoring and looking after throughout the WebEx, and then we'll get those answered as and when. We'll just work through them as we go. So if everyone's happy with that, questions in the chat box. We will be recording this as well, so if you do have to shoot off, it's not a problem. We'll be sending this out or hosting it on social media after, so you can catch up on all this information after if you missed something for some reason. A couple more people join, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but just as I said, questions in the box if possible. Just going to try and have it on my phone as well, just so I can keep an eye on it. Brilliant. Thanks, Luke, for putting that there. Lovely. So I hope everyone can see that. If you can't, just test it. Just click that chat box and have a quick look. Okay, Rich, so if you're on the call, if possible, I'd like you to jump in here and give a little update, well, the big update from the FA that we received earlier today. If you'd unmute yourself.
Cheers, Jack. Evening, everyone. I hope everyone's keeping well in these difficult times. So to kind of show how fluid everything is at the moment, it was not too long ago, just this afternoon, that we received an update from the FA, who have confirmed that grassroots season for 2019-20 has now concluded. It's not to continue, it has ended. To kind of cut a long story short, this basically gives leagues two options: an FA preferred option, which they're using with some of their competitions, and an alternative, which obviously is not the preferred option, but is still there. Competitions can be brought to an immediate end with the results expunged and no promotion or relegation occurring. Now, as I just said, this is the preferred option by the FA. This is what they're using for some of the competitions they run. This is what they are advising leagues to use. But there is the alternative that a league can operate on a average points per game calculation. The FA are going to release a calculator for that. This would allow promotions and relegations to be resolved if a league feels it's necessary. They are encouraging leagues to communicate with their clubs, perhaps holding an SGM to vote on this, but that poses its own challenges. We have volunteers who are currently going through their own difficult times, perhaps with their health, family and friends, isolation, not being able to do the normal functions that they could. So we do ask clubs to kind of show some patience and the human side to that, because they're going through the same thing that you guys are. But the only alternative with this is the cups can be dealt with slightly differently. There is a possibility of holding cup finals as a pre-season kind of opener. We're not too sure how deep into the competition the FA are allowing. At the moment, it's cup finals, but we have asked the question on semi-finals. And I think the last point there is key, as we've already touched on. It's going to take some time for leagues to make these decisions. They've only just received the information now. You're only just hearing it. If you've not picked it up on social media already, it will take some time. So please show some patience. Do keep in touch with your leagues. Do keep in touch with the county FAs. And if you've got any questions on that huge update, then please throw it in the chat room.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rich. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so following that update, if you didn't know, just please pop questions in the chat and we will go through those as we continue. Thank you, guys.
Got one there, Jack, already. If you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Ian Knight, I presume online voting is allowed if secured to opinion?
I would imagine that is regarding AGMs, Ian. Rich, are you still there just to answer that?
Yeah, I took that as being to do with SGMs voting on how to end the seasons. Online voting would be fine. The FA have given us a little bit of guidance on that, which we can give to leagues. But essentially, the way I would operate that would be by whatever the recorded email address is for the individual. But there are other ways around it as well. You can always follow that up with a phone call to make sure that the person who's got that email address is confirming who they are. But we do have some guidance on that, and we'll be able to pass it on to leagues.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Ian, as well. Good question. Just before we continue, we just want to say, or I would like to say, that obviously health and family comes first before football. It comes up anything else that we're going to talk about this evening. So I do hope that we're not coming across, and we won't be putting any onerous tasks on the clubs at this point in time. We just want to make sure that everyone looks after themselves, so we're all here to carry on playing football when the new season starts and we're allowed out back on the pitches. Brilliant, thank you. Kent FA's role in all of this. So we see it kind of split into two parts across the community, supporting our local communities where we're able to, using the power of football to reduce isolation, whether that's people feeling isolated and lonely, and also to promote well-being. You might have seen a lot of challenges going around on social media to get out in the garden and carry on doing some keep yappies, and just keep your minds working, so people don't get too cut off and really suffer during this time. I understand the psychological pressure is huge, so appreciate that. We've also got a role to deliver the government's guidelines and promote these consistently across the football community here in Kent. With regards to the beautiful game, we want to help it emerge stronger than ever, protect you guys as our member clubs and leagues, obviously, from some of the challenges that we're all going to face over the next coming weeks and months, and then support all individuals to rejoin the game when is possible, and support clubs to get back off the ground later on in the year when we head out again. So an update around staffing at the moment. So I'm pleased to say that all Kent FA staff are currently working from home. 19 of us, I believe. We're all contactable via emails. Obviously, as everyone else, we've got new challenges within the jobs around communication and the current situation. So just bear with us a little bit at this time. We all are here to support you, and we will do our best to put out communication across social media channels, via emails, this sort of session, the WebEx, and onwards continuing. I've just put Lee's email address in there in the bottom, just around funding. I know some of you might have grants in place that you're a little bit unsure about. So please make a note and drop Lee an email for clarification on that in the near future.
Cool, Jack. Jordan's just popped in the staff contact details for everyone on our website as well, so they're welcome to go to there and get everyone's contact details.
Perfect, that's great. Thanks for that, Jordan. So in the chat box, yeah, like Luke just said, if you need those, head over to our website and come and find us, come and talk to us.
Jack, we have got another question in there as well at the moment, if you don't mind, please. What will happen with pitch fees and fees for the league we paid this year? If the league had been voided, does all money get returned?
Perfect. So, Lee, I'm not sure if you want to jump in, but it depends who you've paid those to. So if it's local council or if it's a private facility, I'm not sure, Lee, if you're there just to support my thinking on that.
Hi, Jack. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's coping well. Just in terms of that, it's a very individual basis. It all depends, like Jack said, who that money's gone to, what is your relationship with that league. I would like to think that depending on what leagues have got in their banks, they might use a common sense approach to help support the adult game. But really, it's down to those leagues. In terms of the fees, depending on what league you're playing at the moment, for instance, if you're in the Medway League, then you obviously, the majority of you pay your fees to the league. So again, that's a conversation. To anyone else, again, it will all depends on them terms and conditions, them relationships you got. But if you do run into trouble with that's a real barrier moving forward for you next season, then do get in touch with us. At the present, we've got a Kent FA Foundation, which does offer small grants. So we do have options that we might be able to support you around. So do get in touch. You saw my email on the previous slide. So let's have a conversation and see how we can help you.
Thanks, Lee. And Jack, you've got another one here, which Rich might want to jump in on. I have an outstanding yellow card, which is still due. Does this need paying now, or is it voided now?
Thanks for that, Luke. Similar to the pitch fees one, with the games that have been played, I would guess that where a facility's been used, then those fees will have been, would have been taken. But with the yellow cards, all discipline at the moment, unless the FA suggests otherwise, any discipline that's accrued will be honoured and will stay. What I will say is, if any clubs are having trouble paying that in the immediate, then we can certainly look at the due dates on the responses for the player details and for the invoice due dates. But because the discipline was accrued, it's at this moment still remains.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Rich. Any other questions, Luke?
No, that's everything at the moment, mate. You can continue on.
Perfect. Okay, so just to move on, around the Kent FA updates, we are all questions. We'll just make this quite clear that all questions that clubs are asking on social media, or what leagues are asking us, or we're receiving through emails, we are compiling all of these and going to the FA with. Obviously, it's just a matter of time frames to when we get answers, but we're not ignoring you. Just to be transparent, we are putting these to the FA, and again, as this situation unfolds, hopefully we'll get closure on a lot of these questions. So just please bear with us a little bit of patience as we move forward. Mitigation, that's something that we will be looking at Kent FA in the near future around certain things, certain areas of the game, what mitigation we can put in place to help support clubs either re-affiliate and get back out onto the grass in the near future. And above all, keep safe, everyone. Please look after each other. We want efforts. So my colleague Ellie, I think, is on the line. I hope, Ellie, if you wouldn't mind unmuting.
Sorry, Jack, just before we do that, before we jump into safeguarding, you're right, I've just got two questions come in. So the first, so the leagues have been stopped. What's the outcome in Kent Cup fixtures? Is the first question.
Yeah, there's been no decision on that yet. As with the League Cups, finals can be played as a pre-season opener. The Cups committee will need to get together and decide on that.
Thanks, Rich. And the second question there from Ian Knight, are suspensions still valid? E.g., if a player had a 5-game ban, served 3, are the 2 remaining matches rolling over 2021, or are these likely to be quashed?
Cheers. Thanks for that, Luke. No, it's exactly the same as it would be between any other season, which is the season's ended, therefore that suspension will roll over into the new season.
Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. Lee has just said that I'm breaking up a bit, so I might turn my video off. Just hopefully that'll improve the connection. So I hope everyone can still hear me. Ellie, if you're on the call and can jump in just quickly to explain a little bit about the DBS checks, obviously in open age football, and how this will be going forward.
Yep. So good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay, Jack?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Lovely. Cool. Okay. Spoiler alert, Jack's already shared the slide, so you might have read through that already. But at the moment, the FA are considering the impact of COVID-19 on DBS checks. Now, obviously, it's been advised for under 18 and open age football that DBS checks are completed for people in coaches roles, assistant coach, medics, everyone in those roles. But at the moment, until we're able to communicate fully with the FA and their position, there's currently no FA DBS applications to be done, and they won't be processed until further notice. This is an interim position, and we will be sharing any sort of further messages from the FA in regards to DBSs. So just watch this space, really. Like I said, we will share any sort of information about DBS as and when it comes from the FA. And as you've seen in the chat, there's already the link to our email address. So if you have got any queries or questions, you can always drop me an email there about that.
Brilliant.
Jack, you've got a couple of questions here, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, go for it.
First, how do you go about getting your pitch fee back? We are in the Thanet League.
Just bearing in mind if that was paid to the league or your facility provider, if that was a school or if that was a local council, etc., you'll need to get in touch with them. Unfortunately, we can't provide refunds that will be outside our reach at this point in time. So yeah, whoever you rented that off, please get in touch with them, but do it in a very respectable way, as obviously they'll be facing their own challenges at the minute.
Cool. Second question, I've got a couple here, Jack. The first, if we are able to claim 80% of our contracted players' pay, do we have to pay them 100% or 80% of their wages?
Thanks, Luke. Again, I wouldn't know the answer to that. That's something that you'll be needing to look in the government websites just to receive guidance on that. There may be you collect 80 and then you pay the remaining 20. From my understanding, that's what's happening at the moment. But I would advise you just check the government websites and seek further advice. Once we know more, we'll be putting these out. We've seen some questions to the FA around this on our networks today. So as soon as we know, we'll be putting that out as well. I hope that answers the question at the minute.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. They're coming in thick and fast now, so I'm going to keep going with these if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Just a question around, as it's compulsory for Sunday League teams, what's the cost coverage for DBS?
So it's £10 for a DBS, and then obviously that depends on how many of your team officials need them. So if you've got a manager, assistant manager, coach, first aider, etc., it'll all be £10 each. But that'll be in the new season. Please don't worry about that right this minute, as obviously, like Ellie said, there's no DBS applications coming in.
Thank you. From Maidstone Jaguars, have asked with the league being cancelled, do we get back any of our discipline fines?
With regards to that, it depends if discipline is that to the county or is that to the league. If it's to the league, you'll have to speak to them. If it is to the county, Rich, I don't know if you've got anything to add.
I can't answer for the leagues. They may operate something different. I think the key thing to remember is that with disciplinary fines, be it county, FA or leagues, they occurred. They were incurred. That doesn't change because the season ends. So the likelihood is I suspect with leagues they'll remain, and I suspect across the FA's discipline module they'll remain as well.
Brilliant, thanks.
Got a question from FC Westgate United. We're in a cup semi-final. Will that still happen, and will we still stay in the same league?
Thank you. That depends on what league you're in at the minute. Cup semi-final. If that is a county cup, obviously, like Rich said, we're going to be reviewing these. Or if that is a league cup semi-final, then it's really going to be down to what decisions your league make under the FA guidance. But I'm sure and I hope they will be putting out communications over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks. So stay patient and hopefully you'll get a chance to be in the final.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jack. We've got a question here from Tom Morris again at Margate. With the season terminated, would the end date of a contracted player's contract be brought forward to the new end date of the season?
So for that, Tom, we'll probably send out a little bit of guidance via email to clubs in your position. I know, like I just said, there's been stuff floating around in our networks at the FA. So once we just nail down some details, if you could email me, jack.jacobs@kentfa.com, then I can send back the relevant information to you. I haven't got an answer right this minute.
Thank you. And just the last one for now is from United Lift Services. Will clubs have to pay affiliation and entry next season, or will existing clubs from this season get it free?
Rich, do you want to jump in on that one?
There's been no decision made on that at the moment. I suspect that will be something for the board of the County FA to discuss, depending on how long this crisis goes on for.
Thank you very much, Rich. And from Graham, do we get a refund for our insurance?
That will be a conversation that at some point the County FA will have to have with UK Global, who are the insurance providers. A bit like the contract question, it's a little bit further up. I don't think there's a straightforward answer to a lot of these, because a lot of it will be deep in people's terms and conditions. So that'll be a conversation we have to have with UK Global to find out the answer on that one.
Thanks so much, Rich.
Brilliant. Okay, am I right to move on, Luke?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so challenges. Obviously, I appreciate lots of clubs will be facing different challenges, but financially, there'll be loss of summer revenues. If you do have a facility, obviously you won't be letting it out at the moment, so there'll be loss there. Sponsors, drop in footfall to facilities, affiliation fees for next season, kit and equipment. These will all be challenges that you'll be looking to consider over the next couple of weeks and months. The FA is going to be putting out a lot of guidance around this. So once they do, and they put out advice and mitigation in place, we'll be hosting this on our website. So it will be a case of just checking back over the next couple of weeks, as and when you do, ponder these sort of difficult decisions and questions. But just something to keep in mind, and have a chat. Particularly if you've just got one team, have a chat with the guys and see if you can come to some sort of agreement to keep putting money in potentially to try and keep your clubs afloat. Thank you. On the pitch, keeping players and members engaged. Communication's key. Keep speaking to all your players, offering them support. If they need any help with anything in these times, then try to pull together as a bit of a support network, as teams often are for them. Maintaining pitches, excuse me, with an elderly workforce. I understand that. Lee, I don't know if there's any guidance around pitch maintenance, if that counts as sort of essential work at the moment, or if all of that has to be put off for the near future.
Hi, Jack. It's again on an individual basis. If you believe you can carry out the work following the government guidelines, so remaining 2 meters, social distancing, etc., then I believe you can carry that work out. You just need a common sense approach to that and follow the government guidelines. So yeah, you can carry on pitch maintenance. Just football takes a bit of a sidestep at the moment while we follow the guidance. But yeah, you can carry out that work. It's just your decision if you do so. There is still, Jack, do you want me to touch on funding now? Or
yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So in terms of funding, the Football Foundation and the Kent FA are still going to operate in the same way in terms of our funding arms and our projects. So supporting clubs with 3Gs, pitch improvement, changing rooms, etc. We're still operating the same at the moment. Obviously, that may change depending what financial outcome comes out the back of this. But there is some small grants still available. So for portable floodlights, storage, new goalposts, pitch improvement equipment, and contracted services as well. So anything under 25,000, we're still very keen to support you with at this moment. So do get in touch and we can help you. So this morning we had 2 predominantly adult clubs receive over £22,000 worth for pitch improvement, and we've got another £63,000 worth going through in terms of pitch improvement as well, so actually contracted services. So there's still a lot going on. Since the turn of the year, we've approved over £30,000 worth of new goalposts. So if there's something out there at the moment, then get in touch, just drop me an email and we can work up the application straight away. So I understand financial difficulties. You might be planning for the future, and you might not know where that's going to take you. But do get in touch if you do have aspirations. And I've just seen a question come up, which is, I hope you're improving Jackie Baker's in Ramsgate. That's a good point, and I think we all probably agree that Jackie Baker's could do improving, being the coldest place on the planet, and the changing room situation there as well. We are currently working on local football facility plans, and Thanet should be published, well, hopefully, depending on what the current climate is, their plan should be published by the end of this month. So in theory, Jackie Baker should be highlighted for development. I just can't confirm at the moment what that development will be, but it's definitely on our radar.
Great, thanks, Lee. Really appreciate all of that.
Cool, Jack. You just got one question here from Graham that says we were 8 points clear and won every game. Will that count for nothing now? Meaning the league, will the league not name league winners?
So that, Graham, just going back to our one of our first slides around what the FA is suggesting, whether to call the league null and void, or whether to go on an average points per game. I believe it might be the Canterbury and District you're playing in. So that will be up to the committee just to decide that, really. We are encouraging leagues, though, to speak to their member clubs. So they may reach out, like Ian mentioned earlier, for a vote, in which case, it'll be in your interest to vote that you want them to go average points per game. So I hope that helps.
Cool, thanks, Jack. Just got one more. Do the stats remain so the lads can see how well they've done this season?
So if that's full time, Rich, would you know if they stay on there at the moment?
They probably, I think if you flick through previous seasons, they probably do. But my advice would be that we know that the season's coming to an end. If your players want to see them, go and grab a screenshot now.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Cheers, Rich. Thanks for that. Luke, any more? Can I move on?
Just one from AFC Westgate United Services again. We're in the Thanet League Division 1 top. Will we go up or stay in that division?
Okay, brilliant. Again, that depends on the league's choice. When they come around to reconstitute the leagues, they may look at your performance, excuse me, and move you up into a Premier Division. If you've been playing well this season, that might be the case, or they might keep it null and void and you may play in the same again. Again, that's down to the league, so be sure to get in touch with the leagues in due course so you can help them make those decisions.
That's it for now, mate.
Cool, thanks for that. Moving on, attending AGMs, these may have to be done electronically, and voting will be something that the FA will be looking at, and how we go about this. To advise the leagues to put this in place. Easier said than done, but just bear with us, be a bit patient, and all the leagues will hopefully get around this. They may move them to later in the year. Impacting next season, we're just waiting to see what the challenges will be. Some leagues may play cup finals at the beginning of the season, in which case, hopefully it won't impact too much. Excuse me. Jordan, are you on the line there? Would you be able to just jump in and talk through this slide?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. So the team have put together just some support and guidance about the impact of COVID-19, specifically for grassroots football. So we are looking at maybe self-employed coaches. Obviously, that needs to be updated today following the guidance that came out this evening from the government. So we'll hopefully have that live over the next couple of days. But we're also looking at things like clubs, facilities facing a loss of income, as well as frequently asked questions. So do go check that out. That's going to be an ever-evolving page. As we said, it's a very changing situation. So as soon as we have anything, we'll be sharing it there and on our social media as well. So it's really just to encourage you to just go and check that out, because it also has information about funding as well. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, that is basically a one-stop shop at the minute, and we'll keep updating that as on a regular basis. Could I just ask, as it's 8 o'clock, I know I saw on the news earlier that we were going to give the NHS a round of applause. Luke, I don't know if you want to unmute people's microphones and just give them a very brief round of applause, if possible.
Yeah, I'm not able to unmute people's microphones, but if they want to unmute themselves, I'm sure they can.
Okay, well, I'll start. So, thank you. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. We are very lucky to have such brave staff across our health service. We wish them all the best, and we should all really do our best to support them in these times. Thank you for that. So top tips for your club. So first of all, obviously physical health, mental well-being, security first. There is, health in this situation at the moment is more important than football. So please just be mindful of that, and obviously we will too. Support your teammates, like I said earlier. So there's what you have is, as a football club, is a strong support network. Please speak out if your team managers on here, team captains, drop a message in and just offer support to your players in these times. Everyone's going through different situations. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been made redundant recently, etc. So let's all pull together and support each other if we can. Stay active, stay connected, keep in contact with us, keep in contact with your players. Oh, sorry, just jumping ahead there. And plan to come back stronger. So what can we be doing now? I think let's have a week or two just to kind of breathe a little bit, give football a little bit of space at the moment. First of all, put your health first, and then over the next couple of weeks, begin to think about what we can be doing as a club, whether it's going for charter standard or whether it's trying to go for some funding or that sort of thing. So, yeah, just have the weekend off, really separate yourself from football, and then we'll come back to it in a couple of weeks stronger. Any questions, obviously, get them in the chat box. Keep them going as you can. Final thoughts from me, and I hope I speak on behalf of Kent FA when I say this. Follow government guidelines. Keep visiting the Kent FA COVID-19 page. That's where we're going to be putting information and updating it as regularly as possible. We have also got a link. I don't know if Jordan can put that one in the chat. It's just around any questions that you've got that you would like to ask Kent FA. We're trying to channel them all through this one link, and then off the back of that, we'll be producing FAQs for the rest of the county. Excuse me. Stay in touch with your challenges. If you have got any issues for next season or in the foreseeable future around the club, if it's funding, obviously get in touch with myself or Lee. If it's you haven't got a kit for next season or those sort of things, please get in touch, make it known, and we'll see what support we can put in place. But not only that, we're going to be feeding it back to the FA and putting a little bit of pressure on for them to release packages to help the clubs, whether it's financially or with equipment, etc. Thanks, Jordan, for posting that question in there. If you can, put all FAQ sort of led questions in that link. There's also a feedback link that Jordan may have coming up shortly. Just to feedback on this webinar, is it something you'd like in a couple of weeks' time? Do you like the format, etc.? And most of all, get out, support the community if you feel confident to. Look after your neighbours, look after one another, and I hope that's helped everyone tonight. And you don't feel as isolated. The football community is strong, and if we all look after each other, we'll be back, I'm sure, for a great season in the near future. We will hang on here just for a couple of minutes, so if there's any more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. But yeah, really appreciate your time, everyone, tonight. Thanks for joining.
Jack, I just muted everyone again, so if you need to unmute yourself, please do.
Cheers for that, Toby. Thank you. I need to have a look at the participants to see who's actually still in. Oh, a few people. So yeah, if there's any more questions, guys, get them in the chat box. If not, look after yourselves and we'll be in touch. Speak soon.
Don't forget to stop the recording, Jack, as well.
Oh yes, thank you.